Hey, good morning, YouTube. I'm the Tech Prepper. Hope you're all doing well. I've been experimenting quite a bit with vehicle-based... Oh, that's too funny. All right, guys, sorry about that interruption. I forgot that I had a comma window with my buddy Mike. Anyways, I'm out here doing a couple of HF experiments with the vehicle. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been experimenting with the Hustler RM40. It's a vertical antenna, and I found very early on that, at least in my application of it, I tend to get regional communication as well as local communication. I was not expecting the NVIS propagation out of that antenna. I thought that I was going to have to bend it over. Apparently that does not seem to be the case, because I'm propagating anywhere from 100, 200, and 300 miles and everywhere in between with that antenna as a vertical. I mounted it in a few positions, but we'll get into that later. So I want to benchmark a JS8 transmission using that. I have found that I do need more power. That's why I'm actually running the larger Manpack. So this video is very much going to be why my gear probably isn't for you. So yeah, let me walk you through a few pieces of gear. So this is my Yaesu FT857D. I'm running it in my custom Manpack, and then I've got this Mission Darkness Faraday bag that I've got mollied here. It has my Tough Book or Tough Pad, my Panasonic FZ-M1. With this setup, I do need to have some what I call critical kit, and for me that is the antenna analyzer. I also have a accessory bag we'll talk about that has also some of the gear that I need for this antenna to be performant. So we've got one HF setup. You guys can see it there mounted right behind the spare tire using the TerraFlex mount. It's typically used for CB antennas but works pretty well. We'll get into all of the different configurations I tried and testing, because that thing really does need to be tuned anytime you make a change. You remove the tire, you have to make a change. You add the mast, you have to make a change. You mount it from the rear position to the forward position here, you have to retune it. So the analyzer is absolutely a must here. I guess nobody wants me to make a video today with all of these alarms. But anyway, so the idea here is to stay within the vehicle, be comfortable to operate, so I don't even have to get out. In fact, here in the center console, I've got the feed line coming straight in here. It's supposed to actually come in just like that. So the setup actually is under 2 minutes for me to mount the FZ-M1 directly onto this tack form mount here. I've got an E-bar system that I've been using for the last year or so with a bunch of the different RAM mounts. I can run my cell phone here. Need to get another RAM mount, but typically this is my operating location. We'll see that in a bit. The other thing to note is that I have been running my Kenwood D710 here now for almost as long as I've been on the air. This thing has been a tank. I wish they still made this. And it's a dual band rig. It's a 2-meter 440. I've got it mounted underneath the seat. It has not moved. I've gone off-road, and I'm actually running it still on the Diamond KS400 mount, or K400 mount, with the Comet SBB5. So right now, for me to operate VHF, UHF, I don't have to do much. I do want to show you some cool thing that we're going to do. I don't think you can see it here, but you see that bit of kit back there? That is going to be a field expedient way of deploying a higher gain antenna. So let's get on the air here, guys, and let's try to mount this stuff up real quick for you. So guys, I don't know if anybody else has seen this interference, but on Friday and this morning, we're seeing approximately 50 kilohertz apart this interference. We found that it's not really causing a problem for us to send and receive messages over GSA. If anybody knows what this is, I hope this isn't some wild experiment by some agency to figure out if they can block out the radio spectrum. But that looks like it's man-made. All of those lines are about 50 kilohertz apart. So if you know, let me know down below in the comments. So here's a shot of my operating position. Again, I am pulled over off of a trailhead. So I've got the FZ-M1. It's really nice having it braced against the tire here. I can type one-handed. This iKey keyboard is amazing. I don't really care for having the USB cable, but it is what it is. And then I have the Manpack here writing shotgun. So nice little comfortable setup. All right, so one of the first things I like to do when I get going here is, one, make sure that my clock is accurate. Next, I'd like to go and send a heartbeat to my group, or actually a signal to noise ratio report request. And that's just so I can see if all my gear is working. So a few things that I look out for. So we want to see, one, if it keys the transmitter, which it did. And then we want to make sure the SWR there in the bottom left-hand corner is nice and flat. All that means is that I did properly tune my antenna. And it looks like I am hearing some people already. There's my buddy Mike, Kilo Charlie 8 Oscar Whiskey Lima. Again, he's 220 miles from my location. So we'll see if he can get back to me. So a few things to note. I'm actually running, I guess I'm running normal now. If I'm unable to get a response from anybody, what I will do is switch it to the slow mode. So we'll see who's getting back to me. It looks like there's a signal around 1400 hertz that might be for me. And, okay, so yeah, here my buddy Mike, he's got me here at a minus 16 dB. So this is with the Manpack and running the Hustler. So bear in mind, I'm using this just to operate on basically just JSA calls. So don't buy this thinking you're going to be able to jump around the bands and do the hamster stuff. This is very much tuned for sitting on this frequency and really sticking plus or minus 20 kilohertz to each side on the digital portion. All right, so I'm going to go ahead here and send him a quick message, and then I want to benchmark a wire antenna, and the goal is to do better than minus 16 dB. So I attempted to send him a message, RM40, 30 watts Jeep back to you. He couldn't copy, and he is basically asking me to send the signal again. So let me go ahead and adjust this here. So I have a new message crafted there. And what we're going to do here is go to the mode, and we're going to pick slow. And you'll notice that this transmission should take 2 minutes. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And we're just going to go ahead and hit enter to send that off. A couple key things to note here is that my normal smaller Manpack, my FT818ND, would not be a good choice for this vehicle-based setup. I'm running 30 watts here, not the top end 6, which is on my smaller Manpack. So the gear has changed since I'm in the vehicle. When I'm man portable, I want to cut weight, and to cut weight, I bring a smaller radio. When I'm in the vehicle, I can afford to have a little bit more weight. The nice thing about the Manpack, even though it does weigh quite a bit more, even for the 857, is that I can take it out of the vehicle if needed. But typically when I operate remotely, and I've got like 3 days of support gear, bringing this radio would be a backbreaker. So that's kind of one thing to note with this setup. The other thing to note is that we're not doing voice here, guys. We're using a weak signal mode, a digital mode. We're using JSA call. And as you can see right now, based on conditions, I even had to go from normal to a slow mode. And then we're using a compromised antenna. So please stop going out and buying every piece of gear that I have and then writing me saying that it doesn't work for you. I'm going to be real fucking blunt here, guys. Sorry for the F-bomb. But everybody's needs are different, okay? I have very specific communication goals here. And the gear that I select and the techniques that I use are predicated on who I want to talk to, where I am in my environment. So please keep that in mind. Okay, cool. So we finally got an acknowledgement back from Mike. So key takeaway here is that this is a compromised setup. With this compromised setup, I don't have to leave my vehicle. I can put the car in drive and just take off now. And in fact, I have driven with this setup a couple of times and had very successful conversations en route. Oddly enough, when I did that, I had it mounted in the front position here with the Hustler. So what I found too was that the RM40, at least in my case, performs much better when it's mounted on the hood mount there. But my VHF, UHF antenna does not perform well when it's mounted on the rear. So since I can kind of get by with the HF antenna back there, I opted to leave it back there even though it's not the best or ideal location. Again, it's a compromise. And we're getting a message here from my buddy Mike. My station is actually able to decode at various speeds here, so I don't know what speed he's sending at. He's probably sending normal, and he put Roger, Roger, slow is the, and we're going to have to wait probably another 15 seconds here. So we're gonna pop out and we're gonna try out the expedient wire deployment, and my goal is to have that set up in under 2 minutes. I had some extra paracord, I had some extra trekking poles, I had some extra tent stakes, and I had an extra end-fed halfway from my buddy Tim. So yeah, we got our message from Mike here, and guys, there is no infrastructure with what we're doing. Again, he put, Roger, Roger, slow is the ticket with the RM-40. Thanks for the support, Mike. All right, let's go ahead and switch antennas. All right, so this is the flagpole mount we're going to use as the basis for the expedient wire antenna deployment. It's mounted right over the top of the license plate holder. You know, before we set this up here, so here's the setup for the RM-40. So I've got it on the TerraFlex mount here. One thing to keep in mind, you're going to want to make sure you have the plastic washer on this side. You don't want the hardware for the mount to come into contact with the center pin. This is the center pin here, so you'll have a short and your antenna won't work. I'm also running the 3/8 by 24 spring. This is the Hustler RM40 resonator, and then I've got the whip tuned here. So not very tall, so I can actually get into the garage. I did other tests where I experimented with the two masts. They have the MO-3, which is a 54-inch mast, and the MO-4, which is a 22-inch mast. And while I got slightly better performance because it did get the resonator above the roof line here, it had the challenge of I couldn't get it into the garage, and also driving, especially on these dirt roads here with the rocks and everything, was causing a lot of stress on this point here, because you have the resonator mounted here and then the spring. All right, guys, so this is my field expedient setup that it came with. I got a small 40-meter end-fed halfway from Tim N9 SAB, and then I took my trekking poles and got a few things that I want to show you here in a second on how I plan to run this out real quick. Give myself a little bit of room here to deploy it out behind me. Hopefully it'll be enough room. So I've got my standard trekking pole mounted here along the top, and then I just have a little bit of cordage with a clip here. So here's the end-fed halfway that Tim designed. This is for primarily 40 meters. It'll work other bands as well. So we're just going to go carabiner clip this out and walk it out into that direction, and then we'll use the second trekking pole with everything pre-guyed with a single stake to tie it off at the other end, and then we'll run the coax back into the same operating position, and we'll choke it off at the radio. All right, so we have everything connected here, and again, we're just going to walk this out. All right, guys, this setup took 45 seconds. I actually have a taut line hitch on this side, so I can adjust the length of pull just by moving this knot along this line here, and then I have a single guide point, again with another taut line hitch here going down to one stake. So this is about as field expedient as you can get. Guys, I gotta tell you, that was the fastest wire deployment I have ever done. So we're transmitting now. The SWR is still pretty good. You can kind of see, just have the feed line going back out, and we've got that antenna set up here. I started with normal mode this time. We'll see how we do. We've got about 10 seconds before we figure that out. I absolutely hope this is a game changer for me, because that's basically the gear that I take when I'm man portable. So it'd be nice to be able to transition out and just have this gear there. And yeah, we are doing much better. You can see there's at least 5 or 6 signals that appear to be coming back to me right now. So Kilo Charlie 8, Oscar Whiskey Lima, he has me at a plus 5 dB. This is why the antenna is everything. It's like how much money you spend on your optics on your carbines. So we could go to voice right now. In fact, I'm going to ask to go to voice. You guys want to try that? It wasn't in the plan, but that's the difference between using a compromised antenna like that Hustler and then using a little wire antenna. So send my boy Tim some love, N9 SAB. Check out his eBay store, and that is pretty badass here. So I'm going to send him a quick message, and then in the next video, I think we're going to talk about combo plans. I'm going to talk about how we use some of our nomenclature here to coordinate frequencies. Guys, let me know if you like this newer format. It doesn't take me any time to kind of document what I'm doing. This very much is the first test that I'm doing here, so really happy to be able to share this with you. So I want to share with you a few more things. So number one, we're still using normal mode. We're still running 30 watts, and I'm sending him a message here. Basically, I'm putting NFED half wave. That's the type of antenna I'm using. 30 watts, Jeep. And then we have this convention called B2 back to you, which means I'm going to wait around for him to acknowledge. If I didn't, I would put over. And then I put, can you do voice? And I put pick a Victor. Victor's our shorthand for our channelized voice frequencies. And given that I was getting back a plus 0.5 dB signal to noise ratio report, I know we could do voice all day long here. And we have about 6 or 7 different channelized frequencies we can jump to do voice communication. Here's another thing. We're very much doing NVIS and regional communication. So this other station, KJ7HQF, this is my buddy Donnie. He's a local. He's got me at plus 20 dB. So great signal from him. So if you guys are looking for, you know, everything from 0 to 300 miles, consider getting your general class license. NVIS propagation is an incredible tool. And then, like I said, a simple wire antenna like the one that Tim builds is unbelievable. I pretty much only use wire antennas for their efficiency. Not a big fan of tuners, even though I do have one. And then I do know that Mike did receive here. So what I'm expecting to see here in a second is a message from Mike, either confirming or denying that he'll be able to switch to voice. And then what we'll do is basically pull out the hand mic that's in here, and we'll just switch to basically lower sideband operation and get that going. All right, guys, I gotta tell you, I am loving what we're able to do with this type of gear. So Mike, again, 220 miles from a location, he just responded, let's try Victor 4, Victor 5. Probably he's gonna say here if 4 has interference, so we're gonna switch to 2 voice frequencies. So as soon as that's done, I am basically going to shut down JS8. And also notice here that he put out to indicate that our communication is completely over. There's no more back and forth. So just to be as expedient as possible, okay, the message did go through. I'm going to wait for my station to send him back the auto acknowledgement here, just so he knows that I did have a full copy. And either way, I'm not going to continue a message. Okay, so we're going to kill this here. We're going to unplug this guy. I'll do this one-handed here. I've got my power cord. And then we've got the mic dressed here. All right, guys, so Victor 4 was in use. What the hell? I'll show you what Victor 5 is here. Let's go ahead and see if we can get him. Kilo Charlie 8, Oscar Whiskey Lima. Kilo Tango 7, Romeo, Uniform November.
About a 4 and 6, about a 4 and 6. Much stronger signal than on the vertical. Back to you.
Thank you for the 4 and 6. You sound to be about a 5.8, 5.8. You are full communication grade. Thank you so much for training with me this morning. I don't want to keep you, but this was one hell of an impromptu exercise. Thank you, my friend. I will be clear on your final. Kilo Charlie 8, Oscar Whiskey Lima, Kilo Tango 7, Romeo, Uniform November.
Okay, well, I started to fade a little bit on that last go round, but I got most of it. So, this should be a good one. You know, I think, with maybe a little bit more power or something, it would, your signal would come up and be there more solidly, but definitely got it. Back to your KC8
Mike, how copy? I'm running 50 watts, 50 watts.
Okay, going up to 50 watts made a noticeable difference. So very good. Back to you.
Guys, I'm not going to apologize for this video being raw. Like I said, I wasn't planning on filming anything today, and with the interference, with the compromised antenna, with the field expedient NFED, we knocked it out of the park in my opinion. So if you guys are interested in true off-grid comms, with the exception of that early voice repeater setup that we did with the Kenwood D710. Everything else was done just shooting out RF signals out into the ionosphere, and it came back down. Our goal is regional communication. We're doing something called NVIS propagation. I'll put one of my videos up here on that topic. And in the next video, let's go ahead and talk about how to put together a comms plan. Don't know if I'm supposed to socialize this, but I am doing a collaboration video with T-Rex Arms, Isaac, and he's going to be sending me his G90. I'm going to turn it into a Manpack for him. I'm going to send him a FZ-M1 MK1 with a brand new iKey keyboard. I'm going to send him a couple of wire antennas, my link dipole, and this end fed, and I'm going to walk through before we do that video how I'm going to write the plan for us to be able to do long-range communication. What we did today is mid-range communication. We were basically in the 200-mile range, and I think with Isaac we're going to be probably sub 2,000 miles. Probably like 1,800. I'll have to run the numbers to see how that works. And I'll walk you through that process so you can see how I do these targeted comms window. Anyways, big thanks to everybody on Buy Me a Coffee. We're making finally some progress on the MCOM Tools community project there. I really want to do this full time. I consider, or I would hope, that you guys continue to support me over there on that platform. I do a lot of different content, live streams, all that good stuff. Anyways, if you can't do that, just hit that thumbs up button, share this video, and subscribe. Appreciate you guys. I'm the Tech Prepper. Ooh, I have coffee today. Very good. Be strong, be safe, and be prepared.